everybody. So yes, this is a day about Joshua and choices. So before we begin, just please pray with me for a moment. Holy gracious God, may the words of our mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O God, our strength and our salvation. Like I said to the traditional worship service, this is sort of like the Old Testament equivalent of a come to Jesus moment. You know, it's 2,000 years before him, but it's one of those moments where folks are really challenged to make a decision about who they are and who they want to be. Choices. We make so many choices every day. We've got loads of them and we don't even know we're making them. AT&T or Verizon, Splenda or Equal, Coke or Pepsi, regular or super size. We choose how we want our coffee, decaf or regular or mocha or cold brew or this or that or soy milk or things I don't even know. To eat breakfast or to not eat breakfast. We make a million decisions every day, sometimes before we even leave the house in the morning, when we go out, what we do, how we spend our time, what television shows to watch, what day to cut the grass. I know I've heard from friends that we in America have way more choices than folks do, even in Europe. I remember a friend telling me about being completely overwhelmed in the cereal aisle. She was, I can't remember who told me the story, I just remember the impact of the story. But she was from Europe, so certainly not a third world country. And she was like, I went into the grocery store and, I was just like, in Europe, where I'm from, we've got, 10, 20 choices, and I always thought that was an abundance. But if you imagine what an American cereal aisle looks like, there are hundreds of choices, aren't there? And how easily do we get tired of those choices, right? Because we're always coming out with something new. I mean, think about it with the television set. You've got 200 or 300 channels, and you've got your Netflix and your Amazon Prime or Prime Video and all this stuff, and there's nothing to watch. Right? All these choices and nothing to watch. Now, if you're a parent, that changes it up a little though, doesn't it? Because all of a sudden you've got these little people who make choices and express opinions. There's this great Robert De Niro line from, I think the movie Analyze This, where he's like, another country heard from. And isn't that it, when your kids all of a sudden express opinions and make choices and want things? But then we have to remind ourselves that we chose to have those children in our lives, right? Choices. And I tell people this when they get married too, not in the midst of a fight. Remember, you chose this, but in a good way. That the secret to a loving, committed relationship is remembering every day to choose your partner. And wake up the next day and choose him or her again, and choose them again and again and again. And when we consciously choose that relationship, we are more invested in making it a better one. Now, certainly some choices feel great, but yes, there are times when choices can begin to feel like obligations. Obligations can plague us so mightily that we often forget there was ever a choice attached to them. And certainly there are things in life that no one chooses. No one chooses to get cancer. No one chooses to have a heart attack. But today, we focus on choice, about the decisions that we make, the choices we take on in our lives. And I'm going to share with you a story about a choice that I felt I had to make in my own life. When I was entering into my 40s, I felt like I needed to make some better choices regarding my own health, looking at my kids. I want to be here for a long time to be able to take care of them. And so I made a choice to get healthy, or at least as we said in my family, healthier than I was at that time. And I got the tests and exams and all of the stuff that I had put off for way too long, which was good. And I even got a trainer. Now, when we talk about choices, sometimes we don't even know we are making them. You know, we just grab a shirt and run out the door. We talk about marriage and children. We kind of begin to realize that choices have consequences. They have weight and lasting effects on our lives. And yet, so many of the choices we make in life can be so easily undone, can't they? Did you order the wrong flavored latte? That's okay, just toss it and we'll get you a new one. But too often in our culture, we don't have to stick by the choices that we make. And everything in our country is so individualized. Every day on social media, I see emphasized that you can make your choice and I can make mine. And that's a good thing to an extent, I think, because our American individualism has devolved, unraveled a bit, I think, into something that is way beyond individual choice, something, dare I say it, selfish. Well, first, let me finish my gym story. So you can laugh a little bit and we can share a little vulnerability as we deep dive into this scripture. I learned a big lesson about sticking by a choice that I made. After I made this decision, it seemed all good and healthy, and I'm going to get healthier, and it was easy for a while, and Alan convinces me to sign up for a trainer. And it was the best and the most humiliating decision of my life. It started okay. I'd seen others do it. I knew what it looked like in the gym. So it was cool. It wasn't too bad. But then my trainer gets out one of those big blow-up exercise balls, you know what I'm talking about? And they look so innocent, don't they? They look so fun. And he asked me to sit on it. And I've already done the treadmill at that point, which was fine, but it got me sweating. And then made me do some squats, which reminded me how uncoordinated I had become through the years. Then we did some lunges and some pulls with arm weights. I take all of it fairly well, but this ball scared the daylights out of me. When I see it, my head gets filled with this sound like a gun going off. Because I am certain, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that when I put my way overweight body on that ball, it is going to burst. And that is the sound it's going to make. And just seeing it makes my knees tremble. And I start sweating even more. But now I sit on this wobbly ball, which I'm sure is going to burst any second. And I'm sweating even more. And at this point, I have sweat running down the back of my legs. I didn't even know I had force back there to sweat. And I'm sweating so much down on this ball that when he tells me to lean back and do crunches, when I protest, he ignores me. He just says, do your best. I end up sliding right off that ball into a sweaty mess in the middle of the gym floor, pulling a muscle in both of my legs while trying futilely to stop myself. And at this point, I've pulled muscles, I'm so sweaty, I'm so sore, I'm actually unable to get myself up off the floor, and my poor trainer has to pull me up and help me. And I chose this. It took me 3 days and multiple Epsom salt baths to even be able to walk normally again. But I went back. And I didn't cry when he got the ball out again, even though I was still trembling and shaking. And I didn't hurt myself quite so badly the next time, or the next time, or the next. Now here is where I learned the consequences of my choice Sometimes choices ask difficult things of you. Sometimes choices stretch you to learn new things. Those choices might not be easy. Sometimes your choices make your knees shake, and sometimes choices make you want to run and hide. Sometimes choices make you sweat and stink and ache and limp and have to go down the stairs sideways. Sometimes choices embarrass you and expose you and make you feel vulnerable. Sometimes your choices leave you hurting on the floor and needing someone's help to pick you up. Sometimes your choices make you want to run away. And in the midst of all this turmoil, we have to consider if our choices are good ones or bad ones. There are times when we are on the floor, like I was, and that becomes the moment when we finally realize that when we do get up off the floor, we have to choose differently. We gotta limp away and make some different choices. And that's a really tough thing to do. But our scripture today, I think, is about sticking with the good choices, the right choices, the ones that might stretch us or bruise us or challenge us, but will not break us because they are the right thing to do. In the Hebrew scriptures today, we find Joshua challenging the people of Israel to make a choice. Joshua stands before his people and tells them that they have been to this point a fickle people. Ancient people may not have had as many cereal choices as we do today, but they had lots and lots of different gods to choose from and worship. And it seems they were no better at sticking to their choices than we are at sticking to ours. They had worshipped and praised Yahweh, but when things got tough and the road got hard, they followed other gods. And the Israelites weren't just fickle when times were tough, they were equally fickle in their choices when things got easy. As they stand in this moment in the promised land, Joshua makes them recall how God put an end to their wandering in the desert, how God freed them to settle down after their long captivity in slavery. And he asked them to make a very important choice, to see if they truly have the courage of their conviction. If they are ready, as he and his household are, to make a lasting commitment to God who made them and the God who saved them. And the important thing to note in this passage, and we don't see this when we read it in the English, is that all of this language is plural. Okay? Joshua is not talking to the people of Israel as individuals. There's none of this, I make my choice, you make yours, spirit in this passage. Even though in our English language it seems that way, right? It seems like Joshua is making his choice and telling them to make theirs. This is about the people making a decision for the good of all. The good of the group. The decision will be made and everyone will participate in that choice. The fact that Joshua states he's already made his choice isn't as impactful in English as it would have been in their culture. For him to make that individual choice would have been shocking to them because he made a decision against the group. We do that every day in America, but they didn't. And of course, as I hinted at before, it's not as powerful in our culture. We make decisions as individuals and let others make their choices, but that is not the model that God gave the people of Israel, and I would say God gave to us. God wants God's people to do the right thing as a whole, as one people, as a unified body. Choose and choose together. The challenge that Joshua made to the Israelites is the same challenge offered to us today. It's the challenge that shaped Jesus' ministry. It's the challenge that Paul extended as Paul preached. the details change up a little bit, but God is still asking the exact same thing of us. God is calling us to choose, to make a lasting commitment in our lives, whom we will serve, whom we will love, what we will embrace and become a part of. The world out there with all of its choices and demands can be a tough one, and it can challenge the faith of the most devout believer. So many choices in our lives, so many things to distract us, and yet one very important choice will make all the difference. One choice that will change us inside and out. One choice that will make the difference between loneliness and community, rejection and welcome, brokenness and a journey to wholeness, fear and love, sorrow and joy, death and abundant life. Choose this day whom you will serve. I know that at times this choice might be a tough one. At times we might feel vulnerable and exposed and limping, but we will also find strength and community and support beyond our wildest dreams. We will find life everlasting as we follow Jesus, and together with others, we will make the world a better place. We'll find glimpses of that kingdom Jesus spoke of. Gifts in our lives, we will share them, we will know them here in our community at St. John. Choose this day we will serve. And as for me and my house, we will serve.
Please join with me in prayer. Dear God, we ask you to pray for those here who have hearts that are sick and hurting. We pray for those needing your guidance in all of their daily choices. We pray for those who are rejoicing, including Jim and Patty Aquila, who welcomed their granddaughter Brooklyn Ray Moore into their family. And we ask that you help us in our difficult choices, the choices that stretch us and help us to grow. And we ask for your support in choosing and sticking with the good choices. We pray that we continue to daily find ways to serve you, God, in all our lives.
Stand and sing together our closing songs. Let's please Lord be. This is forgetting, this for shame, this for walk away. This is for that, what makes you feel, who does come easy. In our every word, our every word, we are free forevermore. Oh, I
You saw our birth announcement. We ran to the Achenbach and Moore family, Jim and Patty Achenbach's daughter, just gave birth to Brooklyn Ray Moore on August 2nd. Oh, 16th, there we go, it's up there. As our praise team mentioned, there are parking passes available for the Italian Fest. You can sign up to help run the parking lot, but you can also just support by buying one, and that is a fundraiser for our youth. There are some cards out there that if you want to stick around and fill out a few, I know some of you did a bunch of them. We are sending out cards to invite folks to Rally Sunday, which is coming up on the 12th of September, and I think also to my installation, which is coming up on the 19th of September at 3 p.m. This coming Sunday, there is only one service at 9:30, and that is so we can all participate and celebrate in the baptism of Reverend Katie Joe's babies. But the baptism will not be recorded for protection of our children, so that part won't be on Zoom. That's why you need to be here, so you can see the babies. And I think that's, tonight, if you have a youth in your family community, send them to church tonight from 6 to 8. We are going to be just hanging out, unplugged, no particular agenda. We're going to be playing games and having fun and getting to know each other. So send them on from 6 to 8 tonight, and Pastor Katie Joe and I will be here. And worship. Yeah, so again, in the spirit of community, we need some leadership for our church's Verse Market. In the past, it had been kind of handled by the Men's Fellowship, but as times are changing and we're all adapting to new ways of doing things after this pandemic, we really need the church as a whole to take ownership of this event. It's a major event for the church. It's one of the things St. John UCC is known for. So please give a call, say something to me or Pastor Katie Joe, or call the church office, but we really need some folks to step up so that we can figure out how to make Verse Market happen. I know even last year, the sausage was made, and the sausage is delicious. I missed Verse Market, but I did get to eat some of the sausage. It's really tasty. It's 100 and how many years old sausage spice recipe? Do you know, Mark? This is one of the selling points. The search committee told me this the sausage spice mixture, this secret recipe. Locked up somewhere. It's like 100+ years old. But it's a big thing for the church. So if you feel led or called to step up and help organize that, please let us know. And I think that's the last thing. So we can dismiss and sing.
Let's bow our heads for benedictions as we go today. Who do we worship and serve? God and God alone. When we leave this house of worship today, renewed in God's faithfulness, redeemed by Christ, and restored to right worship by the gift of the Holy Spirit. This we pray in this name. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great day. You found me. You found me. We